maiden speech, Tanmanjeet Singh Dhesi.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for allowing me the opportunity to make my maiden speech within such an important debate. I would like to commend previous speakers, honourable members, for the eloquence with which they have delivered their strong message on the drugs debate. Firstly, Mr. Speaker, I wish to pay tribute to my predecessor, Fiona McTaggart, for her 2 decades of determined and dedicated service for our constituency. She, along with her predecessors, are very fondly remembered by the people of Slough for their honourable service, and I will try to emulate them by becoming a hard-working MP for my constituents, because that is what Slough deserves. Slough is a major cultural and creative hub with one of the highest numbers of corporate and start-up companies and headquarters anywhere in the country. Slough Trading Estate, for instance, is the largest singly owned trading estate, providing more than 17,000 jobs. Having run my own small start-up construction business, I appreciate how hard they need to work to succeed and become the engine of our economy. Home to some of the top performing state schools in the country and having superb infrastructure links, I think honourable members will agree with me that Slough has a very bright future. I am, Mr. Speaker, from the Silicon Valley of England. We have a vibrant and diverse community with Kashmiris living harmoniously side by side with Punjabis and those with Irish, Polish and African Caribbean ancestry. Indeed, it is the world in microcosm. However, Mr. Speaker, juxtaposed next to this idyllic scenario of low unemployment is the fact that we have some of the highest levels of homelessness, child obesity and malnutrition in the country. There is a lack of affordable and social housing, and that is why I need to work closely with Slough's Labour-run council to help deliver for our residents. But we need to achieve that economic progress for all while caring for our environment. Slough, Mr. Speaker, is a town of firsts. It elected the UK's first ever black lady mayor, and now, more than 3 decades later, it has elected the first ever Turban Sikh to the British Parliament. Indeed, I believe the first ever to any European Parliament. A glass ceiling has truly been broken, and I sincerely hope that many more like me will follow in the years and decades to come. Mr. Speaker, the enormity of what has been collectively achieved has not escaped me. The hand of history, the huge excitement, anticipation, and sheer expectations weigh heavily on my shoulders. Amongst the literally thousands of goodwill messages from around the globe, one individual very succinctly put it: I feel really happy because finally there is someone that looks like me sitting in Parliament.
That's right.
However, Mr. Speaker, I was most overwhelmed during a recent trip up north when an elderly gentleman walked up to me with tears streaming down his eyes and said, I'm proud, son, because I didn't think that I would see this in my lifetime. It is a sense of belonging when you get bullied at school for looking different, when you stand out from the crowd. It is a case of being respected and embraced by your fellow countrymen and women within the highest echelons of the establishment. And what could demonstrate greater embrace than being elected to serve and sit on these green benches in this august house in the mother of all parliaments? Yeah. In addition, Mr. Speaker, to human rights abuses elsewhere in the world, forget being embraced, even acceptability is still a huge problem. For example, in our neighbouring France. I find it extremely disappointing and incredibly ironic that more than 80,000 Turban Sikh soldiers died, yes died, not injured, laid down their lives to liberate the very country where their descendants cannot now even take their ID photos without having to remove their turbans, where they cannot now even send their children to most state schools without removing their turbans. This same warped interpretation of secularism precludes Muslims from wearing their hijabs and niqabs, Jews from wearing their skull caps, and Christians from wearing their crosses. Acceptability is still a problem in advanced nations such as our close allies, the United States, where several Sikhs are shot dead because of mistaken identity, mistaken for being terrorists. The only way to fight such ignorance, to overcome the politics of hate and division, including the Islamophobia that is so prevalent in certain sections of our society and media, is to call it out and condemn it. And espouse the politics of integration. And these are not just hollow words, Mr. Speaker. I believe strongly in community cohesion and integration. When I served as mayor in 2011, integration was my mayoral theme. The message that I consistently took out to our community, to our schools, the various faith groups and the wider community was that we should all be proud of our own distinct identity, whatever that may be, but we should also be proud of our shared heritage. And for those of us who are born and brought up in Britain, are British nationals, we should also be proud to be British. And I thought it was particularly pertinent that I should deliver that message because I belong to a minority community. Nonetheless, being distinct or standing out from the crowd has its own distinct advantages. I, for one, Mr. Speaker, am very much hoping that these brightly coloured turbans will act as a magnet as you repeatedly point towards the member for Slough to make his invaluable contribution to proceedings in this House. Whilst I am proud to be a Sikh, I will be serving in the true Sikh spirit of Sarbat da Bhala, working for the betterment of all, regardless of background or colour or creed. As I stand here today, Mr. Speaker, I do feel immensely proud to be British, to be part of the most diverse parliament ever, wherein more women MPs, more ethnic minorities, more LGBT, and more people with disabilities have been elected than ever before. While further work, of course, needs to be done by the political parties, the British public can rightly be proud of this, their achievement. Mr. Speaker, while faith and family and community have been central to my life, there is one more thing that has been pivotal in my life and will no doubt continue to guide me in the coming years. Labour values of equality and social justice, of delivering high-quality public services, of being part of a society where we are truly in it together, looking out for and sharing with others, of solidarity as expressed by unions, of hard-working people, of cooperative and international nationalist values, of free quality education, including higher education for all, of free quality health and social care for all, free at the point of need, the zenith of which was the formation of the NHS. My grandfather, Mr. Speaker, a retired teacher and a committed socialist, explained to me at a very young age what Labour did for him and his family. They treated us as equals. And because we have a few bob in our pockets, it doesn't mean that we will now abandon them. Mr. Speaker, whilst others were busy making speeches on rivers of blood and trading with an apartheid government, Labour was speaking up for people like him and standing in solidarity with black South Africans. It is very easy to pay platitudes to Nelson Mandela, a personal hero of mine, when the whole world regards him as a hero. But to stand in solidarity with him with him and his people, when the chips are truly down, takes immense courage, and that is what Labour does best. To conclude, Mr. Speaker, having been born locally, when my father worked at the Langley Ford factory and my mother worked for a local petrol pump company on Farnham Road, little could they have imagined that their son, the son of immigrants, would go on to serve as the town's MP. Little could I have imagined that my constituency office would be just a stone's throw away from where I spent my early years on Lawn Close in Chalvey. From such humble beginnings, it is with great humility that I take on this august office. After the faith they have placed in me, I really, really hope to make the people of Slough proud of their MP as I seek to serve my constituency and my country. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Victoria Atkins.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.